Yo, what's good, you guys? It's Boomer, and you're watching Bali Star. Today, we're getting into a video by Matt T. Balls. You feel me? This is the biggest scam in the music industry. You feel me? Yeah, let's find out what that is exactly. So, yeah, man, make sure to leave a like, support the video if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, so that we can join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. Let's get straight on into it, man. Let's go.
23rd of 2020, a tweet went live from a user named Carlemagne who said, French Montana is out here buying streams in a desperate attempt to turn his 3-month-old flop song into a hit.
But why the show Raven, though?
Here buying streams in a desperate attempt to turn his 3-month-old flop song into a hit. This was in reference to his song Writing on the Wall featuring Cardi B and Post Malone, which had been released about 3 months prior. The song charted when it first came out for 5 weeks, and then fell out of the top 200 on Spotify. Then it eventually re-entered the Spotify charts and also reached a new peak. But what was odd about this is that despite it hitting number 27 on the Spotify charts, it was way down at 1,192 on the Apple Music charts. Then Carlemagne searched the song on Twitter and saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying that their Spotify was hacked and was playing French Montana's song Writing on the Wall. The tweets about the hacks were all posted between the 18th and the 25th of December, and the song charted again on the 22nd. So it was basically confirmed that French Montana was faking his streams. But it isn't like he's some random artist. He's a Grammy-nominated artist with tons of huge songs, who was also signed to Epic Records, which is a division of Sony, one of the big 3 record labels. And while French Montana was one of the few that got caught, there are many other artists in the music industry faking their streams, followers, likes, and so much more. A lot of fans online have been realizing what's going on, with tweets about Atlantic Records faking views and comments on videos from artists like Lil Uzi Vert, Roddy Ricch, A Boogie with a Hoodie, and Don Toliver. Clearly, this is a common occurrence in the music industry, and many artists other than the ones I listed are doing it. So join me today as we look into fake streams, the biggest scam in the music industry. In January of this year, France's National Music Association, or however the hell you pronounce this, did a study that found that about 1 to 3% of streams in the country were fraudulent. The streaming service Deezer said that about 7% of the streams on their platform are also fake. A company named Beatdapp that makes software to detect fake streams for streaming services thinks that about 10% of all global streams are fraudulent. Even last year, the German Music Industry Association said they are focused on curbing streaming manipulation and streaming fraud, emphasizing the fact that they are a central concern for the music industry. The estimated amount of money stolen from artists by these fake streams is just mind-blowing, and I'm going to touch more on that later. So we know these huge statistics of people faking their streams, but who are the people that are actually doing it? Well, in the study done in France, they found the genre that had the most fraudulent streams was rap, which is understandable as it is the most popular genre in France and in many other countries as well. But given the previous estimates of up to 10% of all streams being faked, it's very likely that a lot of other genres also suffer from fake streams. I think most people interested in music or involved in the music industry know that a ton of small artists pay for plays on SoundCloud or streams on Spotify. It's pretty common and similar to how people buy views for their YouTube or bought their viewers on Twitch. I could just Google right now, buy streams for SoundCloud, and probably find a ton of websites willing to do this for me for relatively cheap. I'll touch more on why people do this.
But it's like, why waste money buying views, people, streams, when you could just buy ads to show to people, people that could possibly like your content, and get genuine people in there, people that are really interested to see you, instead of like buying fake all that, just like, no, get ads, you feel me? I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like, that's what I've done with my music, and it's like I just got people that were interested in seeing my stuff. Now, whether they liked it or not was up to them. I let them decide. I let them decide if they wanted to be a part of the content. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like buying people to come into my content. You know what I'm saying? So.
Later, but one obvious reason is to make people think that they're poppin', which incites others to check them out. But I'm not so interested in small artists doing that, because we already know that. What fascinates me is seeing big artists like French Montana faking their streams. In a suspiciously now deleted Vice documentary on fake streams, a Vice documentary maker named Michael K. Williams was able to interview a music industry insider named Chad Focus, who exposed the world of fake streams. He made the claim that all of the huge artists signed to labels, whether or not they know it, are benefiting from fake streams.
These artists all own their streaming phones, they own their streaming platforms. Even from a guy like a J. Cole that say how many artists got streams from these bots, they not as hot as they seem. Well, J. Cole is a part of that system as well, and he don't even know it. The major labels are running these streaming phones, they're running these streaming numbers, they're running these setups.
So this is obviously a very bold claim, but is it really that far-fetched? Like I said earlier, we saw tweets with pictures showing off tons of big-name artists that are signed to Atlantic Records with fake comments.
I saw a lot about Don Toliver. That ish right there, bro. That ish is crazy.
Fake views on their music videos as well. And Atlantic Records is under Warner Music Group, another one of the big three record labels. So far, we have seen artists under 2 of the 3 big record labels manipulating their streams. Interestingly enough, one of the people on Twitter who pointed out Don Toliver's comments, Bryce Fitz, and the guy who wrote the French Montana thread were both suspended on Twitter following their tweets, although Bryce did get his Twitter back. Another person that got caught up in a fake stream scandal was G-Eazy. In 2021, Rolling Stone posted an article called Inside the Black Market Where Artists Can Pay for Millions of Streams. The general director of the International Confederation of Music Publishers admitted in the article that there is a black market for pay-for-play. So in the expose, Rolling Stone mentioned that 2 CEOs of a management group called the Blueprint Group got into contact with someone named Joshua Mack. The Blueprint Group manages artists like G-Eazy, Lil Nas X, Trippie Redd, and plenty more. Rolling Stone was able to get the audio from the phone call, and one of G-Eazy's people said, "I want this to be big." Joshua Mack claimed that they can generate 200 million streams a month.
I have a super basic question. When you say you're going to do Spotify, do Apple, like what exactly does that mean? What are you doing?
One, we're saving the album and running the numbers up. That's the first thing. Across multiple devices, all premium. Okay. 2, we're driving traffic.
Hold on. There's more questions about that. So, how is that happening?
We basically, crack the code and understand how to manipulate the system and hit astronomical numbers.
So what he's describing here sounds like stream farms, but again, I'm going to touch on that more a little bit later. But Joshua Mack said in the phone call that he works with tons of...
I saw a video about what these stream farms could potentially look like, and dog, it look crazy. Fucking cell phones on fucking tripods everywhere, all across what looks like a warehouse floor. You know what I'm saying? Like just everywhere, and they're just streaming the same thing, bro. Streaming the same. I think it was like a music video up on Instagram or something, you feel me, on the reels, and it was all doing the same thing, bro. That is crazy. I was like, what?
Labels and big artists. He said, if we stopped pressing the buttons, the people at the labels would not be able to be getting the type of response and support they're getting. In the expose, Rolling Stone even interviewed an anonymous A&R from a prominent label who said, there are a few third-party companies out there running this for a lot of the major companies. We use them too for some of our artists. We agree to a certain amount of money for a certain amount of streams, and we can spread that out among our artists. It's like, we're good, we just need performance-enhancing steroids to be a little bit better. G-Eazy is also signed to Sony, but I also want to clarify that it is possible that not all of these major labels know what's going on. They very well could be, but I'm not going to make any accusations, because I don't want a lawsuit. Actually, one indie label manager saw one of his artist songs have a huge jump in streams and investigated it just to find out the new jump in streams was fake. So after looking at all of these examples and bringing up all the statistics, it seems pretty common. It's actually so common that one person who I talked to about a video I made nonchalantly told me their label wanted to buy some true views for my video. Now, I don't even know what true views are, but obviously I declined because, I'm a man of integrity, and it's also just really shady and weird. But I was also fascinated at how casually it was brought up, as if it's just another day in the music industry. So this is obviously a big deal, and it's much larger than what most of us probably thought it was. So if that's the case, then why has it gone undetected for so long? Well, as it turns out, fake streams are nothing new and have existed for a very long time in many different ways. Before streaming services even existed, the music industry wasn't really that good at keeping track of album sales. In the early days of the music industry, Billboard charts were based on the rankings of the albums sold in stores. streams. So if one album in particular was sold the most, that is how they would get their data. I don't fully understand how this worked, but it seemed really messy. Music measurement, as we know now, started in the United States in 1991, when record stores started sending reports to a company called SoundScan. But even then, tracking album sales was not easy. For example, in 2006, a rumor was being spread that Michael Jackson had sold over 750 million albums in his life. This is because one of his publicists was telling fan clubs that MJ had exceeded over 250 million units, which people assumed meant albums, when in reality it probably meant singles. For the longest time, there wasn't a great way to verify album sales. Michael Jackson actually holds the Guinness World Record for most albums sold, but Guinness World Records themselves say sales figures vary wildly from source to source. They don't even know how many units he actually sold, which obviously he still holds that title because he just sold a crazy amount, but the fact they don't even know the exact number is astounding. And while this lack of data isn't confirmation that people manipulated it intentionally, I'm sure there were some people and maybe even labels inflating their numbers. Of course, there was also Radio Payola, which is still a thing despite it being illegal now. If you aren't aware, it's basically just when labels pay radio stations to play their artist's song. It's a pretty simple idea and a very common thing. But what about the streaming age? What kind of methods are people using now to fake their streams? Well, that's where stream manipulation comes in.
Question.
We're all familiar with the J. Cole line where he says, "How many faking they streams? Getting they plays from machines. I can see behind the smoke and mirrors people aren't really big as they seem." Ironically enough, this was on 21 Savage's song A Lot, and 21 is an artist who has also been accused of stream manipulation. Post Malone in 21 Savage's song Rockstar was involved in a stream manipulation controversy because Republic Records posted a version of the song on YouTube that was just the chorus on loop. Many people accused them of attempting to trick fans into thinking it's the real song, and every view on this video aids towards its spot on the charts. And this video had a whopping...
I actually heard it too, just over and over and over. I was like, bro, what is this?
41 million views before it was deleted. Of course, the song was very successful, and I'm not blaming 21 Savage or Post Malone, but the YouTube loophole very well could have aided that song in going #1 on the Billboard charts. Another example is when the streaming service Tidal came under fire in 2018 for manipulating the streams on their platform as well. While the methods aren't exactly known, they claim that Kanye's The Life of Pablo was streamed 250 million times in 10 days, and that Beyonce's Lemonade was streamed 306 million times in 15 days. Those are crazy numbers, especially for a smaller streaming service like Tidal. But it's even more crazy when you realize that they were boasting there's 3 million users. This would mean that every subscriber would have had to listen to Kanye's album 8 times a day on average. Obviously this seems fake, and if it wasn't obvious enough, the Norwegian University of Science and Technology investigated Tidal and found that the streams were indeed manipulated. They also found that Tidal lied about how many subscribers they had, as it was actually closer to 1 million. But perhaps the biggest and most common form of stream manipulation is album bundles. So album bundles are when an artist sells something, typically merch, and throws in an album to help boost sales, which gives them a higher spot on the Billboard charts. Pretty much every major artist has done this, but some have done it in a weird and seemingly unfair way. Like when DJ Khaled was selling energy drinks bundled with his album Father of Assad, which was actually disqualified by Billboard, which prompted DJ Khaled to sue them. It looks like Billboard did not believe in our favorite DJ. I'm not going to touch too much on this since it's so common and it really isn't the worst form of stream manipulation. Also, Billboard got rid of merch bundles and then reintroduced it in a much more limited fashion, so it seems like they're getting a bit more strict with their charting requirements. Labels have also been accused of buying their own artists' albums to boost the sales, but that one's pretty self-explanatory. However, stream manipulation is one of the more publicly known methods. Most people are familiar with it, but there are many more discreet ways in which people fake their streams. A professor from the University of Texas wrote a paper called Fake Streams, Listening Bots, and Click Farms, which detailed some of these methods. One of the most known and obvious methods are bots. Like I said earlier, you can literally just Google buy Spotify streams and you will likely be met with a bunch of bot services. The indie label manager I mentioned earlier thinks that people are even
on
hacking into
Spotify?
legitimate accounts and streaming from those accounts when they're not streaming music, which sounds a lot like the French Montana situation. One guy on Reddit even posted that a label he signed with was using bots to boost his streams. This is a pretty known issue, and streaming services like Spotify do their best to crack down on it. And while it's pretty much impossible to entirely get rid of the issue, just because there's so many fake streams, Spotify and other services do their best to get rid of it. However, streaming farms are something you've probably heard mentioned in this video, and they are by far the weirdest and sketchiest way artists get fake streams on their songs. It's probably the most discreet way, too. In the Vice documentary I previously mentioned, Chad Focus went into detail about how streaming farms work.
Today's world, everybody's using a streaming phone. Streaming phone, man, is a bunch of different cell phones that sign up to Spotify. They play your record over and over again. You get streams, you get paid. You know, plain and simple. Being able to use my streaming platforms, man, I was able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. We were able to chart on Billboard. We were able to chart on Spotify. We were able to chart on Apple Music, Tidal, Shazam. These streaming phone into legitimate money.
This isn't a huge secret. Many people like Russ, for example, have been very outspoken about this.
So you can hire companies to fake your stream.
Hell yeah. What?
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I mean, I'm not in the music business.
Hell yeah. Notice how Charlemagne, who's in the music industry, has even heard of labels doing this. So like we heard, streaming farms are literally just tons of phones that have people clicking songs repeatedly to give songs more streams. Streaming farms aren't unique to just music either. These types of setups will be used for viewing ads and doing all sorts of other things. And looking at all this has me wanting to set one up for my channel. Who knows how much money I could be making. Anyways, labels will pay these people to farm streams secretly, and typically they are based outside of the United States. In the paper I mentioned earlier, the author Eric Drott
Bangladesh. How many hits I've gotten, man.
In places like the Philippines and Bangladesh, where they are paid next to nothing and suffer psychological distress from hearing the sound of clicking day in and day out.
If you're around the right people, you know how to manipulate the shit. That's not my place, but there's some big niggas that have like warehouses filled with phones that got like 4 day laborers running around. They like people that we know in this business right now. People that you highly respect. No way, yeah. Oh God.
Michael Williams even found a stream farm in New York and interviewed the guy who was running it. The guy he interviewed said that 100,000 streams would be about $1,500, and he also said he would have labels and A&Rs come through making deals with him. He even confirmed that French Montana getting caught was part of the reason that people were finally waking up to the reality of streaming farms. So streaming farms are clearly the craziest and probably best way for artists and labels to get real streams to boost their appearance. But all of this begs the question, why? Why does this matter, and why do labels and artists do this? Well, there are a few reasons, but 2 stand out to me the most. The first reason that people do this is to get attention. Obviously, small artists do this to get the attention of labels, but why would major labels do it? Well, studies have actually shown that when songs have more plays and appear more popular, it makes you more inclined to listen. I went over a study in a previous video, so I'm going to play a quick clip to demonstrate what I mean. In a study done by Columbia University in 2006, they showed some people music websites with a bunch of songs and told them to download their favorites. Some sites had rankings of the most popular songs and some didn't. It showed that people who saw the rankings were more likely to download the popular songs. They then did a second experiment where they did the same thing, but this time they sent out websites with the actual download statistics and then some websites with fake download statistics. So basically what that study showed is when songs have more downloads, people were more likely to download that song. Same thing goes for when you see an artist with a lot of followers, likes, and comments. Typically you just assume since other people like them, then it's worth giving them a shot. This is called social proof. So this is why artists do this, basically just to trick people into checking out a song. I mean, when I check out a new artist, I always check out their top song, because in my head I'm thinking, if all these other people like it, maybe I will too. I'm sure there are plenty of other reasons, but this is by far the biggest one. The second reason this matters, and the reason it's an issue, is because it's taking money from artists' pockets. Many of the articles I mentioned earlier in the video came out recently due to the studies done in the past few years. And one of the biggest things that a lot of these articles pointed to was the fact that the music industry was going to miss out on a lot of money. Now, I'm not going to pretend to fully understand why people are losing out on money because the payouts are really confusing, but according to Billboard and Rolling Stone and others, people are missing out. Rolling Stone claimed that manipulations also lead to lower payouts for some acts that do not engage in this behavior. So I believe it has something to do with how streaming services pay out their artists. Regardless, Billboard estimates that anywhere between $175 to $525 million of streaming royalties are being lost to fraudulent streams.
Like, what's the payout compared to the recoup? You know what I'm saying?
They even said this could be on the low end and that up to $1 billion could be lost to fake streams. This is one of the biggest issues with the fraudulent streams, and it seems like it could be hurting the smaller artists that are not participating in the scandal. So what's the takeaway from this? What can we do to help support the artists that are having money stolen out of their pockets? Well, I don't really know. I just think this is a crazy huge thing going on behind the scenes that's worth being aware of. I don't know if there's a solution, and I don't know if there needs to be a solution, but this is definitely something crazy that's going on behind the scenes, and it seems very top secret, so I'm excited to have brought this story to you guys. The now deleted documentary I kept referencing is really good, so I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Also, the guy who made it, Michael Williams, apparently passed away, which is really unfortunate because he seemed very talented, so make sure to check out that that video if you want to see his work.
He was
Also, I saw a
hella
really good
talented.
podcast from a channel called Brandman No Labels Necessary, covering how often bots are used and actually arguing that they're necessary. It was pretty insightful and worth the watch, so I'll link that in the description as well for those of you that are interested. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like down below. Other than that, this has been Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.
Brazy. Alright, you guys, so that was Matty Balls with the biggest scam in the music industry, man. Of course, they've been doing this since the old times, not streaming farms, but something like that, you know what I'm saying? Something possibly way more complicated, just now been simplified as time went on to today, you know what I'm saying? And, man, it's crazy, man. What are you guys' thoughts about it, man? Let me know down in the comment section down below. You already know it's a boomer, and you're watching Ballystar. Make sure to leave a like, support the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, so that way you join up with the all-star gang up in this thing. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. 100. Oh! Yeah.